a bunch of dead robots out here.
Dead robots. Dead Teslas packed the parking lot at this Tesla supercharging station in Oak Brook, a scene mirrored in other supercharging stations around the Chicago area.
Yeah, this is crazy. It's a disaster.
Adding to their frustration, they say, is that they're getting no help when they call Tesla for assistance.
No response from Tesla. We have been suffering since yesterday afternoon.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having another great day today. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the negative impacts that transitioning over to electric vehicles are going to have on the poor and middle class. And I discussed this in past videos before, even back when I first started my channel. If you want to go back, you can look at those older videos, but I've been saying this the entire time, that people aren't speaking up on this. And a lot of this stuff is getting lost in the noise and the misinformation of electric vehicles, talking about battery fires and the battery's going to go dead in like 6 years, just nonsense. When there's some actual real issues that are at play that can have a real impact on you. And so that's what I want to discuss. And one of the things I want to bring up is I'm going to show you this video from Chicago. And, you know, this is a state that I live in. I guess I'm kind of hesitant to call it my home state because I'm from Missouri. But my current state of residence, this is where it happened. But let's go ahead and watch this video.
Surprised to hear the cold weather is also impacting electric vehicles. The popularity of the cars paired with drivers depending on charging stations created the perfect storm today, leaving many without their vehicles. NBC5's Charlie Wojciechowski reports.
We're not here for 3 hours.
For Rob Ross, the fancy Mach-E electric vehicle he's trying out has not been worth the trouble it's cost.
Got the tow truck to bring me here this morning. I was at 5 people in front of me. Sat here, my vehicle was like almost on empty, no charge. We got people sitting in line right now who actually, their charge, the EV is actually disabled because they can't even make it pull up to the machine.
And the charging stations at this Evergreen Park public charging port are full, so full that some EVs ran out of juice before they could get to the machines.
It's terrible. It's like I could be out there, be driving and everything in the cold, but instead I gotta wait. And it's a waiting game, it's a waiting game, it's a waiting game, and it's terrible.
Gary and Rob are learning a hard lesson about EVs in the extreme cold. They just don't go as far as they usually do.
Electric cars may be the way of the future, but it's clear there are some problems when it comes to charging them in Chicago's deep freeze.
Oh, we got a bunch of dead robots out here.
Dead robots. Dead Teslas packed the parking lot at this Tesla supercharging station in Oak Brook, a scene mirrored in other supercharging stations around the Chicago area.
Yeah, this is crazy. It's a disaster. Seriously.
With temperatures falling into the negative double digits, these charging ports have stopped charging, leaving many Tesla owners stranded here in long lines since Sunday.
Nothing, no juice, it's still on 0%. And this is like 3 hours this morning being out here, after being out here 8 hours yesterday.
Has it been charging?
No, not at all.
It just isn't working?
At all. It's just frozen, and so I'm now getting it towed to the Tesla service center because that's my only option at this point.
Okay, as you see that a lot of these Tesla vehicles have broken down because of the extreme cold weather. And this is my concern. And I kind of brought this up in the last video and the ones before this. If you don't have a place to charge your vehicle, you're going to be at a disadvantage. In fact, you may put your warranty in jeopardy on your vehicle. And I'm going to exactly show you why. If I pull up the Tesla website here, and I'm going to show it to you. And this is true with the other electric vehicles also. And so they recommend you keep this vehicle plugged in. Matter of fact, right here, I'm going to read this thing. It says high voltage battery information. It says, and this is for the Model 3. It says the Model 3 has one of the most sophisticated battery systems in the world. The most important way to preserve the high voltage battery is to leave your vehicle plugged in when you're not using it. This is particularly important if you're not planning to drive your Model 3 for several weeks. It also says when left idle and unplugged, your vehicle periodically uses energy from the battery for systems tests and recharging a low voltage battery when necessary. And it goes on to say in this next note, if you allow the battery to discharge to 0%, Other components may become damaged or require replacement. For example, the low voltage battery. In these cases, you're responsible for repair and or transporting expenses. Discharge-related expenses are not covered by the warranty or under the roadside assistance policy. And so here's where the problem lies. And so if you don't have access to a garage or access to charging, how are you going to keep that thing plugged in? Like, I plug my vehicle in every night. As soon as I get home, I'll plug it in, especially when it's cold outside. And I said I've been owning EVs for 11 years. And I plug my vehicles in. I keep them plugged in. And because if you look at the manufacturer's warranty, and I'm going to pull up, I'm going to go to Chevy's website just for giggles. And we're going to pull this up for you. And we can see that it talks about outside temperatures. It says on cold days, it's best to plug in the vehicle overnight and then remote start the vehicle. Allow the vehicle to warm up 20 minutes before driving. If possible, use level 2 charging, 24-volt, high-power charge stations for best results. This allows the interior of the vehicle and the high-voltage battery to warm up for optimum temperature. And this is why these vehicles were broken down. These are probably Uber drivers, and they're probably sitting idle for a while and allow their vehicles to get the battery to get cold, and they're probably running the heaters, which that really discharge the battery. And then they go to the supercharger, and it's negative. It's like negative 16. I'm not sure what that is in Celsius, but I'm sure someone will figure it out. But very cold outside. And the colder it is outside, that has a negative impact on lithium-ion batteries. When those lithium-ion batteries get really cold, it raises the impedance in those batteries, which means it increases the amount of resistance, which means less power can go through them until those batteries get warmed up. And if you're trying to charge those batteries with a lot of high power and that battery is really cold, it can create damage, permanent damage to those battery cells. And that's why more than likely those superchargers weren't working, because it was communicating with the car, and the car was telling the supercharger that these batteries are too cold. And it's going to limit the amount of voltage that's going in there, which that's why they were sitting there for 8 hours trying to charge their vehicle, because that car is going to protect that battery. That's the most expensive component on the vehicle, is that battery. And if it's protected by warranty, they're going to do everything to protect that battery, including limit the power that's going into that battery to protect it from damage. And I guess in a way that does protect the vehicle owner too. But remember, again, if you do not have access to charging because you live in an apartment, or if you do on-street parking, this is not an option that's available to you. And if you look at their I'm going to go back to Tesla again. Right here on the temperature limits, it says for better long-term performance, avoid exposing Model 3 to ambient temperatures above 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius, or below negative 22 Fahrenheit or negative 30 Celsius for more than 24 hours at a time. And so if you live in a climate like this where this can happen, you don't want to get electric vehicles, let me tell you right now. You do not. If you're up in Alaska someplace, up north in Montana, or any of these locations where it gets really, really cold, and you don't have access to keep this thing plugged in a garage where it's protected, no. And that's why I say we really need to take a look at this. There are a lot of good use cases for electric vehicles. I mean, for me, for example, I have a garage I can park my car in, I can charge, I have a level 2 charger. For me, it's a perfect use case. And that will be for a lot of people also. But for those who don't fall into that, this is going to create some problems. If you listen to some of those people, they were saying how long they had to charge, and that their charge ran out really quickly, so they had to keep coming back to the charge. That's more money. And so that, like I said, is going to have a negative impact on them. They're going to end up spending more money at rely on these public chargers. In the winter time, it's not going to hold the charge. The battery capacity is severely limited, probably by up to 30% or more, just depending on the temperature. The colder outside, the less capacity you're going to have, and the longer it's going to take to charge that vehicle. There are a lot of things that need to be looked at. And yeah, I'm going to give my disclaimer. I'm a proponent of electric vehicles. I love them. I think they're awesome. You know, I love the way they ride. I'm an electric vehicle enthusiast, but I'm also a proponent for people. And a lot of this stuff comes down to dollars and cents. And it'd be very unfortunate that you institute a policy that I truly believe they're trying to help people, that you're inadvertently end up causing more harm. But I just want you to all think about that. And also, if you've been listening up to this point, please support the channel. in any way you can. You can just go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate that. And I'll keep pumping this content out because these are things that people are not talking about. And, people need to hear this, just so they need to be made aware of the potential downsides that they will have during this transition of electric vehicles. But that's all I have for today. I'd like to thank you for joining me again. And I can't wait to see you on the next video.